Okay, what I want to try to do here is show you how to open up your MacBook, which entails removing this keyboard, this whole top surface, and replacing your super drive, or removing your super drive. You will need a set of precision screwdrivers, mainly a small Phillips. I'm not sure about the size number, but you can get a set like this at Radio Shack for about $7, and it'll have one in it that'll work. Okay, first thing we'll do is flip over your MacBook, work on a towel so you don't scratch it up, and then we will remove the battery, set that aside. Now, first thing we're going to do is remove this cover, which covers up your memory slots and your hard drive. If you look at this diagram, it basically shows you what to do. You have 3 screws that you will back out, but they do not come out of the bracket or the cover. They remain connected to the cover. You just back them out until they're all the way backed out. And you'll know when that happens because they kind of flop around. Now you can use a flathead screwdriver and kind of work the end of the bracket or the cover out. It pulls out like this, and then you'll pull it from this corner and it'll lift out. Let's set that aside, and then we'll use a flathead screwdriver or something plastic if you have it, but you'll pull this tab out, and what that does is let you remove your hard drive. Of course, we'll set that aside where it won't get damaged. Now you have screws inside the battery compartment to remove. Down here on this end there are 4 screws. Do not remove these 2 next to the power connector. Remove the ones all the way on the outside. Okay. And what I like to do when removing screws is to keep them in groups. And you can kind of lay them out on your towel in a pattern that matches the way they go back in. But keep them in groups ought to be good enough. Now, back here by the memory slots, you have 3 very small screws right along the bottom. When you take these out, try to take note of which hole the longer screw goes in. There is one screw that is longer than the rest. Now on mine, it was down here on the right where I'm working right now, but since this laptop has been worked on before, can't really be sure if that screw is in the right place or not. So just take note of where you remove your screw. Okay, and once again we'll keep those in a group. Those are fairly obvious though where they go. Now also in the battery compartment you have a set of 3 screws, a set of 4 screws, another set of 3. You're going to remove the middle screw on this first set of 3, the outside screws on this set of 4, and then the middle screw on this last set of 3. Okay. You'll note that these screws are shorter than the screws that you took out from down here. But keep all these screws that we just took out in a little subgroup there, in a main group, and then break them down in little subgroups so you'll know where they go. I'll have them all in a little main group showing that they all go in the battery compartment. Okay, now on the back of the computer you have 3 screws. This one is the shorter of the 3. These 2 are longer. This one here, pretty much back it out all the way, it'll pull out. The 2 in the back, you can just back them out and leave them in place. Sometimes you can pull them out, sometimes they're very difficult to get out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to remove them. Like this one removed. This one I always have a hard time, so I'm going to back it out all the way and leave it. Okay, now, over here on the port side, don't want to get out of focus too much, but back here on the port side, there's 2 screws that you do not remove. Directly on the other side, on the super drive slot side, these 2 screws you do remove. And they kind of stand out from the other screws because they have shoulders. They have a little unthreaded section of the screw that's fatter than the rest of it. So set those aside so you know where they go. Now, on the back, you have 2 screws here, 2 screws here. The inside screws are the longer. Outside screws are shorter. Be sure to keep track of that. But remove all 4 of them, and just remember that the inside screws are the longer screws. And this is sorry if this is out of focus, but I'm working with a digital SLR, and they do not autofocus. You have to focus on a certain spot and refocus. So I'm just trying to stay here kind of low where everything remains kind of in focus. Okay, once those are removed, that's it for removing screws. Now you will open up your MacBook, reach under the left side up into the battery compartment and push up. You may have to pull out on the body right here on the edge just a little bit, and you'll feel it snap up. Work your way towards the right corner. When you get to this spot, this is where it starts to clip into place. Now what I like to do is, some people will run something under the edge, but you can actually end up lifting up this coating on your on the body, so I don't like to do that. What I do is I work my way back here where this power switch is. Start lifting from there until you get it to unclip. It clips here as well. There's clips here and here. So right here, if you lift up, get it to snap loose, it'll start working its way around, and then you get to this corner, keep lifting, and it'll snap out. Now, show you the best I can, but inside here, there's your ribbon cable, and you just reach and grab. There's a little block that sits on top of the ribbon, a little circuit board. I can't show you from this angle while I remove it, but you'll remove that from the motherboard. Okay. And now, if your goal was to remove just the keyboard, you're done. And you can replace it with a new keyboard or whatever you need it to do. Now, to get to the drive, what you need to do is first lift this piece of foil off of the drive and leave it on the cooling fan housing. That just holds down your power wire. You have some small clips holding this power wire right here along the edge of the drive. You know, carefully lift the power wire out of the clips and around this corner, and then continue down. Now you can reach and unplug, pull straight up on this board and disconnect the ribbon from the motherboard. Now you have a screw here and a screw here. This one is kind of hidden by this rubber gasket. You're going to remove both of those. Okay, now there's one more screw right here in the corner under these wires. You have to use something plastic. Push this larger gray wire back up against the edge of the super drive and find the head of that screw and remove it. I've already removed it and I do not put it back in, but you will have one there and you need to remove it. Once you do that, you come over here, and I believe this is maybe the antenna for the wireless network, but it's held in by a little bit of adhesive to this little plastic bracket. Pull it up gently and remove the wire from this retaining tab. Set it back out of the way, and now your super drive will lift right out. And that's it. Do everything in reverse order, and you will be able to install everything back, put your screws back in, and you'll be good to go. Only thing you need to watch is when you're putting it back in, these little plastic inserts, that's what the motherboard clips into. They will slide out. Make sure they're pressed back against the side before you snap your keyboard back on. And that's about it. Hope this video was helpful to somebody. Don't be afraid to give it a shot. As long as you go slow and take your time, there's really nothing to it.